Now, moving into the next story and a little bit out of politics into something a little bit more local, a little bit more calm, we'll put it that way. Downtown Emmett Stores Front Monopoly. This comes by the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. Emmett, for those of you who have visited or live there, it is a small town with a mountain setting and a small town feel just 45 minutes north of Boise. However, that is drawing new residents, and the downtown area has surprisingly been struggling with some vacancy issues. Huckleberry Properties Idaho LLC, a Boise company, owns 13 storefronts across 10 buildings in downtown Emmett. The company has owned the building since December of 2018 and has left 6 of the spaces empty. Emmett Mayor Gordon Petrie said that situations like this are a downside to the constitutional right to own property, and that the city cannot make the owner rent the space to interested business owners or sell the buildings to someone who will. However, he is disappointed with the situation. Petrie said that this isn't the first time Emmett has seen these buildings not be rented out. He noted that Huckleberry Properties bought the buildings from, quote, another absentee landlord, end quote, and that the city had high hopes for their redevelopment and new vibrancy in downtown, but it hasn't happened. Petrie said that this is likely due to the, quote, perfect storm, end quote, of the timing of where Huckleberry bought the property at the end of 2018, a little more than a year before the state faced restrictions on business operations due to COVID-19. Forrest Teva, the former owner of Possum Trot Traders, said he's rented his space since 1985 for his antique gun business. He also said that the representatives from Huckleberry Properties talked with the business owners on Main Street a few years ago, but other than that, he doesn't have a relationship with the owners. He says that his building is in, quote, reasonably good shape, end quote. Tevba thinks that the owners would rent the space if they could, but it has been on the decline anyway due to traffic through Emmett passing south of the town on Highway 16 and 52. Petrie said that the owner of the Huckleberry Properties is, quote, very difficult, end quote, to get in touch with, and that he knows of at least one tenant who used to rent one of the spaces in the western end of Main Street who had a water leak issue and left the building. Petrie said that it is sad that Emmett has been left with this situation, but that is what it is. So I did not, I will admit this thought did cross my mind when I have been in downtown Emmett, that you see some of these stores that, you know, they're there, they're vibrant, there's things going on, there's business, and there's other ones that are just blank. And then I've seen the growth that's going on with Emmett, and you see all the cars that are wheeling through downtown, and it's so close to Boise. I would expect it to be way, way busier. When was the last time that you dropped by there, John?
I think I was out there this spring. I drove out there for a baseball game. And yeah, driving through, it feels like a downtown that's kind of dying.
It feels like a diseased tree where there's certain parts that are really growing.
Yeah.
And then there's other parts that are like withering and struggling, where, you know, you've got the Roan's Diner there that's doing great. It's always busy in the evenings when I've driven past it. Then you have the other area there next to the freeway, or not the freeway, the highway, with Sonic and the Albertsons there, that's doing really well. And then you have other areas that like close downtown. There's life, but then there's not life, and it's this weird, yeah, it's like a sickly plant.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, and that does make sense. I don't know. I know I do know that building and renovating.
Plus, you have some background in this, don't you?
I do. I'm an electrical engineer by trade, and I do building design work. And
John is full of many things. He can be a video editor. He's got voiceover capabilities, ice fishing. Now we know he's an electrical engineer.
Yeah, mostly full of hot air. But what I do know is that the permitting and construction process is long and super expensive and daunting. And restrictions have made it really difficult to do things. Also, since Idaho kind of shut down due to COVID, construction's been really, really expensive.
Yeah, I haven't been following that too much on the numbers there.
Oh, it's ridiculously expensive, and there aren't enough contractors to get the work done. And so if you want somebody to work on your stuff, chances are good you're waiting for it, because they're all booked up.
I know with plumbers I've run into that, but the other fields I haven't had too much issue, though.
Maybe not for small work, but I do know for big work, everybody is backed up. and it can get expensive to do work. So while I understand that it's a bummer, I also understand that government regulations aren't helping these things. So if the mayor actually wants to help businesses move in, then lowering the required amount of effort to get them in is going to help. So, like, cool, mayor can complain all he wants about how this place isn't bringing in new people, but if he's not going to actually do anything about it, I don't.
I mean, playing devil's advocate here, just briefly, trying to play that role. He is just talking about downtown in this article. And from what I remember looking at the Boise Devs article, it's not that those slots or areas that are closed right now that businesses can't move into them. It's that Huckleberry LLC isn't actually allowing them to be rented out to people at all, that they're not available, that Huckleberry LLC is just holding them and they're not doing anything with them.
Yeah, and that could be for any number of reasons. I don't know. It seems odd.
Right. Which, there again, when we talk about this stuff, I give the sources. I would recommend you go read the article over at their Boise Dev. They did try. I left it out of here just for the sake of time, but the reporter over there did try to get a hold of whoever owns the Huckleberry LLC or whatever, and they even struck out. And they have far more resources than I would ever dream to have yet with the podcast here in the channel, which it seems fishy, but also the whole thing does seem fishy that so much of the downtown that the city council would allow some company to own so much of it. I think that's also part of the city council's problem there of them allowing someone to buy that much.
Yeah, this definitely screams to me that the mayor is complaining to the wrong people, or he's complaining to get something done, but the people he's complaining to aren't actually the people he's talking to. So it doesn't seem like the mayor is actually talking to Huckleberry Properties. Seems like he's actually talking to the city council or other government entities who would have some power to do something. Because what's he going to do to the owner of Huckleberry Properties? Like, send him a mean letter? Sounds like this guy doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could see there, again, not a lawyer, that maybe the mayor or the city council could try to do is start ratcheting up maybe fines or different things because those businesses are an eyesore or something maybe that they could do because there's nothing going on in there, to get Huckleberry Holdings to let go of them because they're just bleeding money since they're not doing anything with them.
I could see that.
Granted, I don't know the legalese enough to know what powers extend from the city council that they can do in the mayor's position.
I don't know. But yeah, it seems kind of goofy all around.
But hey, at least the more you know, next time you're in downtown Emmett, fun fact, you can tell someone, you can be like, hey, most of these buildings are owned by the same company. Fun little fact there. And for those in Emmett, maybe have a conversation with your city council on this one if you're curious, as well as I was, why some of the downtown businesses don't have any businesses in them.
And now you know.